happy new month and happy new week to you. Thank you so much for joining. This is the day. My name is Sarah Otieno.
And I'm Frederick Njiri.
Happy Madaraka Day, Fred.
Yeah, happy Madaraka Day to you too.
So what are we looking at today, now that it's a holiday?
True.
Yeah.
President Kenyatta today in his speech hinted at the possibility of reopening churches. We'll be looking at that later on in the show. Plus, you know how you pay 2 months rent deposit in Kenya? Mm-hmm. I'll tell you more about a city where you pay a whole year's rent deposit.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and plus many more stories coming up. All
right. The WhatsApp number to use and join our discussion today is 0786 316 316. SMS line 20316. An SMS is only 1 shilling.
All right, let's kick it off then. President Uhuru Kenyatta today led Kenyans in marking the 57th Madaraka Day celebration held at State House, Nairobi, with only 46 dignitaries invited, including opposition leaders Raila Odinga and Musalia Mudavadi. In his speech, the president directed the Education and Interior Ministries to hasten protocols of reopening schools and churches, at the same time hinted at reviewing of the Constitution.
I am hereby directing that the Ministry of Education fast-tracks and finalizes the ongoing consultations with all stakeholders that will provide us with an appropriate calendar for the gradual resumption of education in the country. The guidelines should also include protocols to be followed by all learning institutions in order to guarantee not only the safety of our children, but the safety of their parents and grandparents. Conscious of the fact that Kenya is a God-fearing nation, I have also directed the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Health, to continue and hasten their engagement with religious leaders across the country, with the objective of developing protocols that will be adopted to guide a more participatory way of worship while guaranteeing the safety of worshippers.
Well, he at the same time called on leaders to put the welfare of Kenyans ahead of their selfish ambitions.
Fellow countrymen, we need political leaders totally committed to promoting not themselves, but what will transform lives of our people in line with what our founding fathers yearned for. Indeed, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I quote, "We need political leaders not in love with money, but in love with justice. Not in love with publicity, but in love with humanity." End of quote.
Well, the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga also gave his speech, but not at the same place where the president is. He had given his speech earlier, right?
Well, and the Orange Democratic Movement party leader acknowledged the citizens who followed the government directives to curb the spread of the coronavirus. He encouraged Kenyans to be resilient despite the current economic situation that left thousands jobless, the locust invasion, and the floods that have claimed the lives of over 200 people.
Fellow Kenyans, for the first time in our history, we celebrate Madaraka Day away from each other and without the usual physical ceremonies. That is how much the COVID-19 has changed our country. We know that most Kenyans have been adversely affected. Jobs have been lost. Homes have also been washed away through the floods. Locust is also a ravaging part of our country. We are going through a triple tragedy. But we also know that Kenyans' resilience and the mood to fight will eventually triumph over this tragedy. We need to work together as one people and one nation, so that we can rise again as a nation.
Well, that is the opposition leader there, and people were saying this is quite a powerful speech because he said, despite everything that we are facing at the moment as a country, we shall overcome.
And it's very true. You know, it's so easy to get caught up with all the negative things that are happening because of, you know, the things that he has mentioned. But 57 years later, I mean, from the time we attained self-rule, 57 years later, we have so much we can thank God for this country. So much, a lot of things have happened, beautiful things that have happened in this country that we can truly thank God for. And I think it's a high time we did exactly that.
All right.
Yeah.
So we want to ask the question today, 57 years later, what are you thankful for? What do you think is that one thing that you are grateful for when it comes to the madaraka of our country and the freedom that we have attained? The WhatsApp number 0786-316-316. That is on WhatsApp SMS line 20316.
And now back to the COVID issues in the country. The Nairobi Metropolitan Services conducted its last phase 1 coronavirus mass testing exercise at Eastleigh yesterday, with a few locals turning up to be tested. The targeted mass testing has been going on for the last 11 days in the area that have been mapped up as coronavirus hotspots. But many say the fear of being quarantined had dumped the initiative.
I know this is a peculiar community. First of all, they are not people who rise up very early. It has happened even when we are having the polio campaign, the measles campaign, the cholera campaigns. From midday is when they start becoming a bit active. And seeing that at now we are already close to 200 people, we say that this is a good turnout.
Watu wako na tension, wanaogopa. Juu wanasema hata kama una corona, wanakuambia tu wakikupima uko na corona, utapelekwa ufungiwe, kitu kama hicho. So this tension.
Uoga na unatokana kwa vile wanasikia wakitangaza watu wamepatikana wengi. Sasa kila mtu anaona nikipatikana sasa mimi nitakuwa mmoja hapa kuja kuchukuliwa.
What I really ask the community is, I know most of them are fearing the discrimination and the stigma, but this should not come in, because if you're positive or you've exhibited the signs and you're not coming forth for the testing, how many other people are you going to infect?
Very, very interesting. People are not turning up.
Yeah, sure.
But we will overcome this thing.
We will overcome.
Yes, we definitely have a lot to thank God for, don't we? That's a question today. 57 years down the line, we're celebrating 57 years of Madaraka.
Yeah.
We have, what are you thankful to God for the last 57 years of this country? Well, Jared Odhiambo from Kisumu City says he's definitely watching, and I'd like to know what Jared is thankful for today.
Thank you so much for joining. This is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno.
And I'm Frederick Njiri.
Well, Fred, his name is Jared Odhiambo. He's saying he's very grateful for being alive.
I told you I was going to put my money on him.
Well, thank you so much, Jared, for tuning in today. Well, we have the televangelist, and he's also a politician, Bishop Margaret Onyango, and he's cautioning Kenyans to take the COVID-19 disease seriously and not to shy away from seeking medical attention in health facilities in case they feel ill. Bishop Onyango was discharged from Aga Khan Hospital in Nairobi, and she says that she is healed from the infectious disease. She's among patients in Kenya who have fully recovered from the virus.
Mimi siku sneeze na sikuenda juu ya kukohoa. I went to hospital because I had food poison. And to those who are lying that I had groups of intercessors, people praying there, that is not true. I had only my family members and my staff. And out of my family members and my staff, we ended up, myself, I was positive, and my two grandchildren, my granddaughter and my grandson, and 6 of our home staff. For those who have not taken it serious, that COVID-19 is real. COVID-19 is real. COVID-19 should be taken seriously, and it should be taken seriously not only when you are at work or when you are in the public.
Well, we remember that Bishop Margaret was actually in ICU and she recovered, then was taken to the general ward, and then finally she's been discharged from hospital. That is good news. And concerning that, 59 cases have turned positive of the coronavirus today. We just have information coming in right now. And now the total number of infected people in our country stands at 2,021. We have already passed the 2,000 mark. And we have 8 people who've been discharged from hospital today. But unfortunately, 5 people have succumbed to the virus in the last 24 hours. This is according to the information that we are just receiving right now. So yes, continue staying vigilant and protect yourself from getting this virus.
Yeah. 5 people, those are so many people.
Yeah,
huh?
sure.
Anyway, 57 years down the line, what are you thankful to God for? Some of the things that He's done for this country, because I believe there are so many things that have happened in this country. You know, most of the time we like complaining, we like looking probably at the negative stuff, but there's so many great stuff that have happened in this country, and we thank God for. One of the things, I had an opportunity today to talk to a very sweet lady, and what she was telling me, I wanted to find out how we can be able to move from, you know, how the children of Israel moved from Egypt and into the desert or the promised land, and then they still had their minds focused on what was happening in Egypt. 57 years down the line, we moved from colonialism. We came to a point whereby we attained self-rule and self-governance, but do we still have things that we have in our minds that came from the other, dispensation? And how do we move our minds, even in our personal life, from point A to point B, so that we are living in the fullness of what we were supposed to do? So I had an opportunity to talk to one very sweet lady. I'll tell you her name later on, and this is what she had to say.
There's a lot that we see everywhere around us that needs a lot of fixing, and we are used to blaming the government, we're used to blaming everybody else, but I believe that everyone has something that they can contribute to in regards to change.
So meaning we are where we are as a country, not necessarily because of what the government has done, but because of the way what we have done.
Yes, not entirely because of the government, but we also have a responsibility towards changing every one of us for the sake of the generations to come.
So how much control do we have over our life in terms of our future and whatever happens around us?
I believe we have a lot of control because God is love, and love is not control. When God created us, He created us for dominion. He created us to dominate in our areas of dominion, and He put every one of us in a space to dominate, and that would mean that we are entirely in control of our responses towards what's happening to us, and we are not even supposed to wait for issues to happen and then we fight fires, but we are supposed to be the definition, to bring definition to the world, bring definition to society, that when people see us, how we conduct ourselves, that we are defining morality, we are defining faith, we are defining joy, that the magnificence of God can be seen through us.
Now, if you look at a time like now when we have, because of coronavirus and the lockdowns and everything, we are seeing quite a number of people going through difficult times. Are you saying that, obviously we don't have control over what is happening to us, but can we, is there a way, take for instance, if you are speaking to somebody who's gone through this situation, they've lost their job, they've lost everything, how do they gain control of, yes, it has happened, how do you get to a point whereby you're still the one who's in charge?
So I do not want to downplay the pain that people are going through. The truth is that we have been adversely affected by this crisis, and many of us are going through different kinds of challenges. But the truth is that for us to be able to respond accurately, to respond as God would have us respond, we have to take a level of responsibility of response. We have to be able to say, I have the power to respond, because between stimuli and response, there is power of choice every time. And so we should be able to respond. But you see, response begins first with a certain kind of mindset. There is no response that is above mindset. If we have set our mind on things above, then we respond accordingly based on how we have been conditioned, based on the fact that we have been built a certain way by the word of God. So while we are going through a very difficult time, the Bible speaks about the different the disciples of Jesus, and after he left, how they were persecuted, but they responded a certain way because of the experience that they had with God.
Yes.
So the first thing that we need to do is begin to change our mindset about this crisis, about our future, about our children, about our families, and in doing so, we will have a different outcome based on our response.
So I heard you saying between stimuli, there is power of choice, and then what is the last thing?
Yeah, that between stimuli and reaction,
Yes.
between the influence and our reaction to that influence, there is always a small space called choice. So whenever there is something happening to us, for example, if somebody came at you and just hit you, between the time that you respond to them and hit them back is the choice to either hit them back or choose to let it go. So we have the power of choice to be able to say that in this crisis, we could choose to respond in fear, but we can say greater is he that lives in us than he who lives in the world, and we can be able to respond according to he who lives in us.
Okay. So now, as a country, what do we need, or as a people, what do we need to do? Because there's, as you started off by saying, there's a lot of naomba serikali nisaidie, naomba this nisaidie. We seem to be so dependent on what happens outside us. How do we get to that point where we know we have the power to decide how this country and how our lives are going to change?
Okay, I'm just going to read a scripture, Philippians 4:8. The Bible says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. The dwelling place of our minds is supposed to be on positivity. And one of the things that I have learned when it comes to positive thinking is that no human being is too poor to give. No human being is too poor to give. If we consistently think of ourselves as recipients of help, we will be bound up in the place of neediness. If we see ourselves as solutions...
Say that again.
If we consistently see ourselves as recipients of help, if we see ourselves as victims, if we see ourselves as people with open palms waiting to be given, we will forever be bound in that place of neediness. But if we see ourselves as solutions, every one of us set as a solution to the problems of this generation, there is no one that cannot help another person. There is not one person in the world that cannot be a solution to the problems of this world. Every one of us is equipped. In fact, we are not just equipped, we are actually sent. The Bible says that we are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus for good works. That means that we are under assignment to do good works. Now, good works always have little to do with us. Good works means that we are supposed to be changing the world, making a difference in the world in whatever small capacity. And one of the things that I think discourages people is that you feel that, what can I do? I do not have anything. I am on unpaid leave, for example. I've lost my business. What can I do? But wherever we are, you can pray for someone. You can be able to give a call to someone and encourage them. Every one of us can be able to do something to help another person. We can put out positivity. We can be able to pray for this nation, take a walk around your area and just pray and declare healing and transformation. Every one of us is a solution giver, is a bearer of greatness for the sake of our generation.
I don't want to water that down, and that's the reason why I want that to remain etched in the minds of everybody, because I believe we can be able to do this. That's why I'll bring the curtains down on it right now. Thank you very much, Pastor Wanja. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
As I told you, that's Pastor Leah Wanja. Very insightful issues. She says if we continually expect to receive, we'll be bound in that begging mentality. No one is too poor to give. I love that. That's very interesting.
I like the point where she said it's not always about serikali saidia. We have Fred this is Frederick Owino, all the way from Kisumu. And they're saying, hey, Fred and Sarah, Pastor Wanja has just spoken some good stuff there. Let me chew on those. Kisumu, the Lord is good to us. Thank you so much, Frederick, for tuning in today. We also have Alice from Machakos responding to the question today. And she's saying, good evening. This is Alice, grateful to God for being alive and more so being healthy. I'm thankful for the nation of Kenya because of so many things such as education for all, medical care, security, and that opportunity to choose for ourselves, that freedom to worship and peace in our country. That is Alice there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We also have Martin Dungu. Thank you for tuning. Unasema, I'm really worried about Americans and how they're protesting on no social distancing, no masks, big mass gatherings. The COVID-19 eruption may hit them in the worst way they might think. Well, and we'll be looking at that situation in the U.S. in a couple of minutes. We have, this is Kips Luke from Nakuru.
That's a very interesting name. Kips Luke.
Kips Luke, please explain to Fred how your name came along. Tuned in from Nakuru and is saying, happy Madaraka Day to you, Family Radio. I'm proud to be a Kenyan since we attain our independence. Secondly, I like Mr. President at least by giving us hopes about the churches to reopen. Thank you so much, Kips Luke, for tuning in. We have someone who is watching in from SF Bay area, that is in the US.
SF Bay area.
Yes, that is Dan. And Dan is saying, I am grateful for the Christian upbringing and God-fearing foundation I was raised with in Kenya. God at home, at school, at work, and in the community. I'm also grateful for our culture, roots, and tradition. Living in America for these unpredicament days, these two things keep me going amidst many challenges.
That's very interesting.
Thank you so much, and thank you. And please be safe. Well, we also have Jared Odhiambo, who is saying, it has been quite some time, before we texted, and is saying you're grateful to be alive. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Remember, we are asking the question today as we celebrate the 57th Madaraka Day. What is that one thing that you are so grateful about? 0786 316 316. That is on WhatsApp, SMS line 20316, and on Facebook and Twitter at Family Radio 316. And on that note, someone texted in through Facebook. Peter KM, you're saying, I'm being blessed by the Almighty God. That is one thing that he's very grateful about. Steve Mahanu, I'm thankful for God's grace to save me. He has faithfully provided for my needs. One grateful Steve there. Thank you so much.
You know, somebody told me that you only need to go outside the country to know just how blessed we are as a country. this guy in particular, and I have nothing against England or anything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying something that somebody told me. He went to the UK, and I think it was during those cold seasons. He had gone to graduate. And when he was there, I mean, the place was very wet, very cold, because he's not used to the cold season, the winters of Europe. He was freezing, and all he could wish for is to come back home.
Yeah.
When he got home, he told me, Fred, there's no place like Kenya. Yet in Kenya, we are constantly complaining, saying about something. Yet we have an unbelievably beautiful country. And this is something that we should be grateful to God for. I like what Pastor Leah Wanja said.
Yeah.
You know, nobody is too poor to give. You can give, even if it's a smile, even if it's a prayer, whatever it is, you can always give. And you know, it is this given when you hear, what's the name of that brother from the U.S.? Dan from the U.S. The godly upbringing. It's not everywhere you get it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is happening right now, even as we are speaking, even as we're playing the music that we are playing, very music that inspires and leads you closer to the Almighty God.
Yeah.
It is because of somebody who's very poor, by the way, somebody who might not have, but they gave.
Yeah.
They gave. Just like Jesus gave. They've given, and that's the reason why we are able to put up whatever it is that we are putting up on there. We have the T.D. Jakes of this world. Joel Osteen ministers to so many people. Joyce Meyer, oh my goodness, a lady who's gone through all kind of crazy stuff. Pastor Prince, messages that go and change lives, because there's somebody there who probably only gave 10 shillings.
Yeah.
But they gave. That's why I'm so grateful to the partners. My life is changed because somebody gave.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes. And we are so grateful that you have always supported Family Media in the way that you can, through your donations, through your partnership. And we will never fail to say thank you. So if you are interested in becoming a partner with Family Media, just text the word partner to 20316. And surely we will get back to you explaining what partnership means and how we will both benefit. Thanks in advance. We have Remy Kipchirchir, and you're saying, I am grateful for the gift of life, and also currently I'm happy to celebrate Madaraka Day today. It is true Kenya is special and the land has a lot to offer. We have so much beauty in our country and every region is amazing once you visit, especially in Kilifi County. I would love to know where you are right now, Remy. Thank you so much. You're also happy and proud to be a Kenyan because of the good weather and amazing, breathtaking scenes. You can't find them anywhere else. Also, we do have one of the 7th wonders of the world, the wild beast migration in the Masai Mara Game Reserve. Have you experienced that?
Okay, I've never been there. I've only watched on telly.
Beautiful. Tuachie hapo your story. Twende next. Well, and then we also have what's your name? You're saying, my name is Wairimu from Nairobi. So thankful for family and health, and God is so faithful. And you're also thankful for Family TV.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, Wairimu, and we really appreciate that. Thank you for keeping us on air. We have Pastor Kantai, najisatiti leo nikiwafuata unyo kwa unyo. Thank you so much, Pastor Kantai, for tuning in today. Greetings. I'm grateful for the opportunity to express ourselves in social media and through the art of our country, and have made Kenya by and have Kenya by Made in Kenya for Kenya. All right, let me get this again. He is grateful for the opportunity to express ourselves in social media and through the art in our country, and have Kenyans by Made in Kenya for Kenya. You know the way we have bracelets,
Yes.
Kenyans made in
you
Kenya.
buy Kenyan.
Yeah, made in Kenya, and we are Kenyans. That is good news there. Thank you so much. Although you did not give me your name, I am grateful that you texted in today. Now let's head over to the US for a minute.
Okay.
Well, The police and protesters across the U.S. have clashed again, and today is the 6th day of unrest and so much anger, and it has intensified over the death of one George Floyd. But there is some good part of it. Police officers in Lexington, they joined protesters in praying during Sunday night's protest, and they did that just before they started demonstrating about the police brutality. Listen to this.
Apocalyptic scenes on the streets of Minneapolis. Fires burning in the distance, and police line up in riot gear to fend off looters and protesters. The second night of violence after these images appeared of a black man, George Floyd, being pinned to the ground by a police officer's knee.
I can't breathe, my face. I can't breathe.
He's heard pleading, "I can't breathe, please, I can't breathe." But the officer persisted, and the man, who was unarmed and suspected of forging a banknote, later died. It took just 9 minutes.
They executed my brother in broad daylight. People had to film that. People had to see that. People pleaded for his life. They have pain. They have the same pain that I feel. I want everything to be peaceful.
But the scenes on the streets weren't peaceful, as anger turned to rage at yet another killing of a seemingly innocent black American at the hands of white police. As dawn broke, the carnage more like a war zone. An Aldi store smashed open, the charred remains of a Wendy's restaurant, a liquor store destroyed.
Think about somebody with their knee on your neck and you're struggling to breathe and they won't remove it until you suffocate. Well, that is the last minutes of George Floyd's life, and it's just, in a word, murder.
That's the word scrawled on the pavement outside the house of the police officer who used his knee, an unauthorized technique, to pin down 46-year-old George Floyd. Black and white Americans joined together in their grief and anger.
I think we're all tired of this. This is almost like an everyday thing, it seems like, and action is necessary, change is necessary.
Even the city's mayor asked why the police officer, seen by millions on social media, had not been arrested.
If you had done it, or I had done it, we would be behind bars right now. And I cannot come up with a good answer to that question.
It's a question that's been asked in this country so many times before. In 2014, when the unarmed teenager Michael Brown from Missouri was shot and killed by a white police officer. And after the death of Eric Garner, who also cried out, "I can't breathe," as a police officer gripped his arm round the man's neck. And now these scenes in Minneapolis of mourners gathering at a makeshift memorial will also be consigned to history, praying for another black man who died at the hands of another white police officer while pleading for his life.
Well, we have there, that is the situation in the U.S. Very many people actually complaining. And you know what, Fred, it's interesting. After this one case was actually shown on social media, leading to the exposure of the police officer and the many counts that he's been facing for quite some time when he was on duty. We've seen so many people coming out to say that, you know what, I have also been what do we call it? Like, I have been attacked quite a number of times, brutally
by the police.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, you know, and it leaves me wondering, you know, and no hard feelings here. I have quite a number of friends who always tell me that they want to leave the country to other countries, you know. But when I see this, I can't help but wonder, it's even better here. It's better at home.
I think this is just isolated cases. Maybe Dan can tell me whether I'm wrong. These are mostly isolated cases where you have incidents where, you know, people misbehave. It's like if we were to show the world some of the things, you know, the isolated cases of police brutality in Kenya, you would have nobody wanting to come to Kenya. But Kenya is a beautiful country. We have so much that we can be thankful for. There are a couple of people who do bad things just like everywhere else in the world. But if that is magnified, then you have a perception that is created of the country. Having said that, there are cases. This case needs to be looked into, just like cases in Kenya need to be looked into. But I don't think the Americans should actually destroy their country because of what has happened. People are bitter, people are angry, yes. But now what are you doing? You're destroying property belonging to people who are not directly involved. They are not even connected to what happened. And their lives have been diminished because of the coronavirus pandemic. And now you've destroyed their livelihoods. I mean, you almost get to the same level with the officer who took the life of that old man. Because you don't overcome evil with evil. You overcome evil with good. Let justice. You can protest, you can demonstrate, but truly, do you have to destroy people's property?
All right. And someone was actually saying that now it is becoming political. People are now focusing, and it's interesting because the election in the US are actually nearing. And now we have these protests, and we have the president saying 1, 2, 3, and then we have this other side of the Democrats, I want to call them that, also saying another thing. So it has become a political game, and people are just fighting because, hey, Mr. President said 1, 2, 3, so let's react to this in addition to what we are already talking about. Well, let us keep praying for the US.
True.
And Martin Dungu said earlier he's actually concerned because they're no longer taking precautions to protect themselves from the coronavirus.
You know, one of the things we can be thankful for, you remember I told you I'll tell you one of those useless stories that do not help any soul in this world. I mean, they're just stories that are there. Probably they were told by Luanda Magere when he was 2 years old, and they will be told by somebody else when he's 120 years old. They help nobody, they change nobody's life. But here goes anyway. You know in Kenya how we pay 2 months rent deposit? Oh my word. In Nigeria, Lagos, which is currently home to 22 million people, most of whom are renters or people who come from different parts of Nigeria to come and work in Lagos. Most of them actually work in the financial services, technology, fashion sectors, and all facing similar struggles. The high cost of living there is ridiculously high. But this is the strangest thing. Before you get into a house, you're a tenant and become a tenant. You have to pay a rent deposit of not 1 month, of not 2 months, of not 3 months, a whole year. 12 months rent.
You know, I'm laughing. You know, it's interesting because when we go to and this is in Kenya, and it happened to me at some point. I was looking for a house, and they told me I have to pay a 1 month rent and 1 month deposit. But then when I was moving to the next apartment, they told me it's a deposit of 2 months plus a 1 month rent. And I was complaining. So just in case I was in Lagos.
You pay a whole year's rent.
You kidding?
Oh my word, Gado.
I feel that is just too much. Anyway, someone texted me over the weekend and they were telling me about how they were now watching and listening to, do you know the 20 Countdown magazine show on radio? Yeah. So someone was listening to that, and then on Friday again they listened to the repetition of a celebration of music that is Jeru's show that airs during the day, but the repeat is at night. So he texted me, and he's a friend of mine. He said, Sarah, I can hear Jeru's voice through the application, and it's at night. So I told him, don't worry, it's a repeat of the show. But how come? I told him, you have the application, so that's good news. This guy literally is in a place where family radio haiko bado, that is in Busia County. Family TV is there, but family radio is not in all the parts of Busia. And we are working on that, yes, of course. But with the application, he was able to listen to a celebration of music. And let me tell you something. You can actually do that because of the application, the Family Media application. Go to your app store. That is Google App Store. Or if you're using an iPhone, then there is the iOS, the App Store. Yeah, you can go there and download the Family Media application. Listen to all the programs, all your favorite music on the go. You do not have to tune in anymore. Just go to the application and you'll be able to listen to all the shows, including This Is the Day. I'm done.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. But I need to tell you something. How often do you drink milk?
How often do I drink milk?
Yep.
Maybe I need to ask a different question. How often do I take tea? Because that's the only time I drink by taking milk. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because it's wondering. It's worrying. And today marking the World Milk Day, and I know probably you didn't know that because you do not take milk often.
Yeah.
Today is the World Milk Day, and apparently more than 6 billion people globally take milk at least once a day.
More than 6 billion.
More than 6 billion people in the world take milk.
Can you imagine if I had a milk company, a processing company, and 6 billion people take milk?
There's some good money there. Anyway, milk has some very many health benefits. You can get them in the internet, but one of them that I know so well is because of the teeth and the bones. That is one thing, and that is the reason why, if you're a parent, your children should be taking milk, at least today, as we mark the World Milk Day. As we end, we have Gideon from Kericho. Today, I'm grateful to God for care and protection. Thank you so much for tuning in to This Is the Day. My name is Sarah Otieno.
And I'm Frederick Njeri.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.